Hey everybody, this is Dr. Chris Dost. Welcome back to my channel, Biblical Languages and Literature. Today we're going to be reading Isaiah chapter 40 verse 2 in the Greek, Hebrew, and Aramaic. And so this video is a continuation of the last one. All right, before we begin, please be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Click the bell below to be notified when I publish future videos on this channel, and be sure to hit that like button and leave your comments below. All right, let's get started. All right, so let's start by looking at the Hebrew of verse 2. So we'll read it first fast, then slowly, then fast again, as is our custom. Dabru al lev Yerushalayim v'kiru elea, ki mal'a tzva'a, ki nirtza avona, ki lakcha miyad Adonai, kiflaim b'chol chatotea. And now slowly. Dabru al lev Yerushalayim v'kiru elea, ki mal'a tzva'a, ki nirtza avona, ki lakcha miyad Adonai, kiflaim b'chol chatotea. And now fast again. Dabru al lev Yerushalayim v'kiru elea, ki mal'a tzva'a, ki nirtza avona, ki lakcha miyad Adonai, kiflaim b'chol chatotea. So in keeping with verse 1, which begins with the plural infinitives nachmu, nachmu, verse 2 also begins with a plural infinitive, dabru. Nachmu, we said, was a G stem or a kal stem, meaning comfort. Give comfort to, whereas dabru is a piel plural, meaning speak, and it is God who is speaking. Speak, al lev, which many translations will render as tenderly. So literally, to the heart of Jerusalem, al lev Yerushalayim. And if you look at the second entry in the Hebrew Aramaic lexicon of the Old Testament, the second entry for dalet beit resh, the root dalet beit resh, for the word to speak. Sorry, I'm having trouble highlighting it there. And we go down to the PL. We will see if we scroll down in section 8 under particular instances, letter D, dalet beit resh, al lev means to speak kindly to, and some of the other examples that are given are Genesis 34:3. And so in Genesis 34:3 we have the story of Shechem and Dinah. Vatidbak nafsho b'Dinah bat Yaakov, and his soul was drawn to Dinah, the daughter of Jacob. Vayehav et hana'ra, and he loved the young woman. Vaydaber alev hana'ra, and he spoke kindly to her, or he spoke tenderly to her. And then in Ruth 2:13, we have Vatomer emtza chen be'enecha Adoni, ki nichamtani, v'chi dibarta alev shivchatecha, v'anochi lo ehye ke'achat shivchotecha. Then she said, for I have found favor in your eyes, my Lord, because you have comforted me and spoken kindly to your servant, though I am not one of your servants. And there are some interesting features of that text, but that's the sense of it. And so we come back to Isaiah chapter 40 and verse 2. Speak tenderly to Jerusalem. Speak tenderly to Jerusalem. V'kiru elea. And now many biblical Hebrew students, when they're starting out, learn that the root kuf resh aleph in the kal stem, in which it appears here, means to read, but it also means to proclaim. And remember, in the ancient Near East, most people couldn't read anyway. You know, one person might do the reading, but they would proclaim it. They would read it out loud for the benefit of others. The kiru elea, and proclaim to her, the her being Jerusalem, ki mal'a tzva'a. That, ki means that here. Mal'a is a third feminine singular, suffix conjugation in the call stem or the basic stem, meaning is complete or has been completed, you could say, because it has been completed. What has been completed? Tziva'ah, her service. It's a military term frequently, almost like her military service. Now, the meaning of this verse is very interesting, and if you look at in the Hermenaic commentary, Klaus Balzer, I think, did that one, in Deutero-Isaiah, you'll see some very interesting discussion about what this actually means. What is Deutero-Isaiah referring to here when it talks about the service of Jerusalem? And one of the options that's proposed that I'll just put forward for your consideration is that Jerusalem's military service, which is discussed here, pertains to her being used in the service of other foreign kings. But we can discuss that in more detail some other time. So if we treat this noun as feminine, even though it appears to be masculine, her military service is completed. That's one possibility. Or if we treat it as a masculine noun, she has completed her service. And then we continue, because ki niotza avona, because her iniquity is pardoned. And here we're dealing with a nifal, third person, masculine singular suffix conjugation. Her iniquity is pardoned. Because ki lakcha, she has received, this is a call, feminine singular suffix conjugation, ki lakcha miad Adonai, because she has received from the hand of the Lord. We have a construct phrase here. From the hand of the Lord. Kiflayim, which means double. Kiflayim, and the form is in the dual. Kiflayim, bechol chatotea. Double for all her sins. Double for all her sins. Before we continue on in this video, I'd like to give a plug for my new initiative with Sabra Global Education, where I'm teaching Greek, Hebrew, Aramaic, and a variety of other languages and Bible-related courses. Please be sure to check out my teacher page, the link for which is in the description below, and hopefully I'll see you in class on Sabra Global Education. Now let's go over and look at the Greek. So in chapter 40 and verse 2, we see that there is a word corresponding to the Hebrew word dabru, and that is lalesate, which is a second plural aorist active imperative, lalesate, from the verb laleo, meaning speak, which is a literal translation of dabru in Hebrew, dabru. But before lalesate, we have a vocative form, hieres, which means priests. And so the Septuagint reads, O priests, speak, es ten kardian, to the heart, es ten kardian, Jerusalem, of Jerusalem. So, O priests, speak to the heart of Jerusalem. And so the Septuagint here is identifying who is to do the speaking. To whom is God speaking? He's speaking to the priests. Now, following the word Jerusalem, we have the verb parakaleo again here. But as we saw in the last video, parakaleo in Greek can mean to encourage, to exhort, to comfort. And so what's fascinating here is that parakaleo in Greek is an acceptable translation, a good translation, not only for the verb nachmu, which means to comfort, but here for the Hebrew word kiru, which means proclaim. So we can see here in BDAG, for instance, that it can mean to call to one side, to invite someone. to summon to one's aid, to call upon for help, to urge strongly, appeal to, exhort, even encourage, or similarly, comfort. So it's really a very cool maneuver here in Greek to translate both nachmu and vikiru with the same verb, parakaleo. So parakalete, parakalete, and then down here, parakalesate. All imperatives, but meaning something different in the two different contexts. So here it would be exhort her. So not exactly the same meaning as vikiru in Hebrew, but very similar. What is ostensibly a very cool translation maneuver there. Haughty, which corresponds to the Hebrew ki, as we said. Epleiste. Now, epleiste is an aorist passive, meaning to be fulfilled. So it is fulfilled. What is fulfilled? He tapenosis, the humiliation. He tapenosis autes, her humiliation. This is a genitive feminine singular. Her humiliation is fulfilled. So a slightly different meaning from the word sava. And you can see in BDAG that it means, a reversal in fortunes or humiliation here. Lowliness, humility. And here in the lexicon of the Septuagint, you can see some additional instances of this word. So we have haughty epleiste he tapenosis autes, because her humiliation is fulfilled. So then we have lelutai autes he hamartia, because the sin of her, here we have that genitive again, the sin of her is, released, loosed, that sort of thing. So here we have a passive of the verb luo in the perfect. Her sin has been absolved, loosed. And this corresponds, of course, to niltza avona. And this is then followed by haughty edexota ek keros kuriu dipla ta hamartemata autes, because she has received, this is an aorist middle here, she has received ek keros, from the hand, kuriu, of the Lord, she has received from the hand of the Lord, dipla, double, ta hamartemata, the sins, autes, of her. And aside from that one supplement of the word priests at the beginning, and then some subtle exegetical maneuvers, this is a fairly literal translation of the Hebrew text that we have in the Masoretic text. Okay, let's go over to the Aramaic now. And so here we have malo al liba d'Yerushalem, which means speak to her heart of Jerusalem. And so this is a construction that's very common in Aramaic. So grammatically, there's a little bit of difference from Hebrew, but that's only because of how Aramaic often renders a construct phrase. And so it really is a very literal translation. So speak to her heart of Jerusalem. Speak tenderly to Jerusalem is the meaning, just like with the Hebrew. Ve'itnabo Allah, and prophesy, plural imperative, and prophesy to her. And so here, ve'itnabo replaces the Hebrew form vikiru. And so vikiru elea is rendered with ve'itnabo Allah. And so whereas the Septuagint has the priest speaking, now we've got the prophets here involved. There's a prophetic bent. And remember what we saw in verse 1, where the Hebrew has Nachmu, Nachmu, Ami, comfort, comfort my people, the Targum has Nevi'aya itna bo tanchumin al ami. O prophets, prophesy words of comfort to my people. And so this prophetic theme is being added to the text here. And are corresponds with ki. Are atida de titmale me'am galvataha. So prophesy over her or to her that atida means she is about to be. It is about to be that she will be filled, the titmale, me'am galvataha, with the people of her exiles. With the people of her exiles. Are, because ishtavikula, they are forgiven to her. What's forgiven to her? Chovaha. Chovaha. Her sins. Are, because kabelat kas tanchumin, she has received the cup of consolations, min kadam Adonai, from before the Lord. Ke'ilu, as if, lekat al chad trein, she had received, this is, Eldon Clem translates this as 2 for 1. Chad is the word for 1, trein is 2. She had received 2 for 1, bechol chata'aha, her sins. Now, next time we get together, I want to start looking at the Masorah of the Hebrew text. And so for those who are not familiar with the Masorah, what I'm referring to here for now is a more limited use of the term, a narrower use of the term, meaning the scribal notations in the margins of the Hebrew manuscripts. And you can see here, Nachmu, right, in Isaiah 41, there's a circule over there, or a circillus as we sometimes call it. Let me zoom in for you a little bit. Over the word Nachmu. And that corresponds to the letter Beit, which means 2 times. Or if you want to go over and look at the Aleppo Codex, here's the same passage. And you see the same note there. You see the same note there over the word Nachmu. So next time we get together, we'll look at Isaiah chapter 40 and verse 3, and maybe we'll look at some of these Masoretic notes, and I'll start to explain what they mean. Well, thanks for joining me today, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Tune in next time when we cover Isaiah chapter 40 and verse 3 in the Greek, Hebrew, and Aramaic. And if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to my channel. Click the bell below to be notified when I publish future videos in this series. And make sure you leave your comments and your questions below. And be sure to check out my teacher page on Sabra Global Education. All right, see you next time, everybody.